Jenny-Jaymes and our sidekick, Christian Cano, partner in crime, is coming up next.
Hey everyone, I'm Jen's sidekick. Welcome to Two Queers in a Truck. Hi y'all.
See you soon.
Good morning, everybody, and we have another edition of Two Queers at a Track. I'll be a little darker today because I did not turn on my little camera or little light on. I may do that when we're doing the show. But anyway, I started out here in the dark over here and at an undisclosed location. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
That was like an interrogation light. But anyway, I'll confess all the bad stuff I did this week. But anyway, yeah, we were already in November. You know, by the time people do this, we will already be in the first week of November. And just what a wild ride 2023's been. And we're just seeing, it seems like it's getting a little crazier by the month.
Exactly.
And just, you know, but it is what it is. I went to a meetup last night of local business people, and I'll talk about it later in the show. But some of the people that are organizers and staff of some of the big nonprofits here in Charlotte are just like, I'm ready for our holiday events. And I'm ready to be done for the year. Like, there's a lot of people that's exhausted. It's been definitely a long, exhausting year. And undoubtedly, we're going to go into a very exhausting presidential election year next year. So it's probably no relief for a little while. No relief for the wicked. And but anyway, the first topic, going right into it, is that there's a governor's race in Kentucky. And the sitting governor, and Andy Beshear, was calling out his opponent that is pro school vouchers and pro, this movement that has been caused by Moms for Liberty and all the people that want to privatize and profit off schools. And one of the most consistent issues is how they're wanting to take public money and give it to private businesses, private citizens, and all that. And that never turned out well. Like, we've never had privatization of government functions always end up with the money going to people for profit. And the issue is that the people that are the most marginalized always suffer because they can't get the services they need. Things don't run efficiently. And there's no oversight. Once you send that money to a person or a government, you're not necessarily guaranteed that you can get the educational value. But what I find interesting is not so much that these two people were debating it, is that all we heard during the pandemic when we closed the schools and everybody was homeschooling their kid, is, we need to open schools. We need to get the public schools open. We need to get the kids back in the building. It's the same group that said you can't learn at home. And basically they had universal private schools when everybody was homeschooling their kid. And that was basically a version of school choice. And public dollars were going that way. It was so weird. Oh, they can't learn if they're not in a public school building. Teachers can't teach that way. And it is exactly what they're suggesting, is doing a private system, not publicly vetting the teachers, not being accountable to the public. the exact same system. They're a huge proponent. I mean, Florida is giving cash money to homeschooling parents instead of having them in the public buildings. And so I find the hypocrisy almost staggering. I'm going, well, then how are kids going to learn better that way, which was basically what the Democrats were primarily doing, and saying schools aren't safe right now. It doesn't make sense to send kids back into to buildings and teachers and adults back into buildings that are essentially death traps. And so certainly you're going to lose a lot of teachers to COVID, especially when we didn't have a vaccine, because they couldn't learn at home. They couldn't learn in little private school groups. Basically, charter school, the version of charter schools, is that not what a charter school is, but a smaller, more private version of it. And because homeschooling groups, they had little COVID circles, and they had kids learning at home together. 4 or 5 families would, basically co-op. And so I find that the argument is very, very full of lies, very full of false narratives. I'm going, you can't have it both ways. The public schools were the best place for kids during the pandemic because they can't learn outside of a public school system, and public schools was the best place. Then I've got to call out why you wanted to send kids back to public schools during a pandemic, but don't want kids to go to public schools because they need school choice. So school choice was picked then, and the school alternatives were picked for safety reasons, but that wasn't a good reason to do it. But when the Republicans come up with this money scheme, all of a sudden it's better. And that's why school choice is a scam. If you ever want to prove why it's a scam, is how they reacted to homeschooling kids during the pandemic. You again, it's not for the betterment of the kids, it's the betterment for people that want to set up private schools and get that big government socialist check and profit off our kids and give less services.
But you hit the nail right on the head, Jenny, when you talk about the socialist check, because there is no family that pays enough in taxes to justify being able to use that. Their argument is, well, we pay in taxes and we should be able to spend our taxes away. Yes, you're right. But there's no way that you spend enough in taxes to be able to afford your kid to get a voucher or go to a charter school or private school. It takes 10 families to afford one child. And so these parents that have 2 or 3 children, they're being subsidized by 30 other families, you and me, who don't, who currently don't have kids in school. And
right.
so in many ways, and I know on our other show, we did a show about it, but they are, when you look at it, they are the new version of welfare queens. They are being subsidized by so many other people, just so that way, they can exist.
Correct. And, just like mean-tested social programs, we should make, if they want school vouchers, all these families, including the parents and guardians of these conservative families, need to submit to drug testing. They need to have jobs.
Exactly.
All these school voucher programs need to have the same trick bags that they do with other stuff. If they're going to make means-tested welfare programs, it needs to apply to school vouchers too. And I'm going to tell you, when cocaine and diet pills and all this other shit shows up in their system,
exactly.
They can't test for narcissism, but they can test for drugs. And the two things that go hand in hand is narcissism and narcotics. And I bet you most of these people are pilled up. And the same bullshit that they pull, they need to jump through the same hoops. They need to have jobs. If there's two parents in the household, two parents have got to be working. And to qualify for this, and there needs to be qualifications and put them through the lack of dignity that they've put a lot of black and brown families under scrutiny, a lot of poor people under scrutiny, and they be treated the same way. And let me tell you something. The school choice bullshit will drop like a bad habit. It will, people, they'll go, oh no, I don't think this is a good idea. And all that. So we won't hear a thing. But it's kind of funny. So in the Georgia case with Trump, Jenna Ellis, basically is a former attorney of Trump that got indicted, and she was one of the many people indicted with the Georgia case. And now she's cutting a deal with the state.
While she's crying.
And while she's crying, and there's tons of drama. And, it's amazing how conservatives all of a sudden need Jesus, and I've sinned, and I'm such a terrible person. And it's just... just is a mess.
Well, I mean, but more importantly, she is admitting that they lied, or that they tried to obstruct, the election. And now, I don't know if you're going to go into that, but now Trump, all these, the three people, I think there's like 4 or 5 people that have flipped now. That Trump is now saying that they're weak cowards, typical, I didn't really know them.
Oh, there's the Michael Cohen, which was going to be topic number 3, but we can kind of go into it, is Michael Cohen is, singing like a canary up in New York, and, Jenna Ellis down in Georgia, and there's other people that are flipping on him.
Sidney Powell. Yep.
And I said this in 2019, and how prophetic it was when I said it. I said in the end, it's going to be his allies, his Republicans, his henchmen, all these hangers on, all the attorneys will eventually flip on him. And at the end, the solution to the Trump problem will come from the Republicans. Because first of all, they always turn on each other.
Yeah.
Because the Republican Party is chock full of assholes. And greedy assholes turn on each other. They always do. Because, Trump is getting older, and he's sounding crazier, and they realize they have to turn that corner, and they have to turn that page away from MAGAism and extremism. They'll probably go to another version of extremism, but they need to find a different standard bearer for their party. And they know that. They've got a major problem. Look at what's going on in the Speaker of the House situation. And he is collapsing the Republican Party and exposing them to the clown car that they are. And this is what happens with any dictator, tin horn, banana Republican thing. It doesn't matter whether it's in the United States, but the extremism always implodes. It's not sustainable. And in the end, the group that's involved always has to turn on themselves to save themselves. And that's exactly what Jenna Ellis does. Is all of a sudden she went from this, I'll never surrender, this super smug, defiant dick of a person a year ago, 6 months ago. Now all of a sudden is crying with the crocodile tears and singing the blues, and we're hearing such a different tune now. But we're up against our first break, and we'll be right back with some more Two Careers in a moment. Hey guys, I've got a special product out, and we've got a store under the name blueappliedtech.com. And you can go on our Etsy store, you can go on our social media, and you can check out our merchandise. We have some amazing snowflake Trump mugshot ornaments. We have mugs, we have pillow covers. We have a lot of cute stuff for the holiday season that you can buy. And it's great fun. And it goes to a good cause. It goes to my company, and it's helping us out getting started. And also, it just, who doesn't want a historic snowflake Trump ornament?
Exactly.
This year.
That's funny. What's the name of it again?
And the name of the company is Blue, like the color blue, Applied, APPLIED Tech, like technology.
Blue Applied Tech. Ah, cool.
And so you can look us up. We have a website, but our store is on Etsy, and a lot of people use Etsy for different types of gifts. They are assembled in the United States, so it creates American jobs. And most of all, it's a lot of fun, and they're not expensive.
Cool.
So,
Blue Applied Tech. Got it.
Correct. Come seek us out and buy some gifts.
Cool.
Hey, everybody, you can catch us on your favorite audio podcast platform, Spotify, and all Apple Store, the Google machine, and whoever else does podcasts. We're on there. We broke in, and we're staying there. So enjoy the Two Queers of Trump on your favorite audio podcast platform. Thanks for listening or watching. Bye, bye.
We are back. But the third topic is Michael Cohen, which we got into a little bit. But, as these trials drag on and the people Michael Cohen's already served jail time. He's already paid a big price for Trump. And you're going to see people like him that have already started to pay a price. You're going to see people that got jailed because of January 6th. You're going to see a lot of people turn on him in this process because he's ruined so many lives. He's absolutely destroyed many of these people's lives and what careers they had left. I don't know if Rudy had much of a career left, but, the My Pillow guy, all these fools that went off the cliffs of insanity and have done all these extreme things and said all these extreme things and have just whipped people into this gun-loving, weird popularity cult of just hardline extremism and just nuttiness. Just the shit that Carrie Lake still says, and MTG and all these absolute idiots. There's no other way. They're just very stupid people that get into these cults and get these broken people. MTG is a very messed up human being.
Yeah.
You can't say the things she said and not be psychologically off. A very broken, very damaged. I mean, her husband left her. Mm-hmm. There's something pretty messed up about her. Bobert the same way. These people, you got old rapey McForehead, Gates, and now you're seeing when they have to lead, these MAGA insurrectionist idiots have to lead now in the Republican-controlled House. They can't even keep the speaker's job filled. They can't even do the most basic jobs in the House. And you're seeing the MAGA movement fully exposed. And what they've done to the House of Representatives and what they've done with all these scams and schemes that Trump was involved with is exactly why we don't need to privatize schools. If you ever want to see an example of why we shouldn't give Republicans control of anything like that, is what has happened in the Trump era and what has happened with Republican control of things. Look at Texas's power grid. That should be all the evidence you need to never hand money over to extremist Republican conservatives. Do not give Betsy DeVos and her corporation money to open up private schools all over the country. Would be the worst thing you would ever do. You would see a level of incompetence only matched by the fact that they can't do the most basic functions. They're a dysfunctional group of people. And it shows. They're being exposed for who they are. This is why they're having this problem. This is we never had this with, the Democrat speakers of the House. I mean, for as bad and as dysfunctional as they say we are, I don't remember a time where we've had a Democrat not be able to hold the speakership. I don't remember seeing dysfunction in 2021 and 2022. The House of Representatives, when it was Democrat land, ran really well. Nancy Pelosi was a very good speaker. We got a lot of things done.
But don't you think, Jenny, I know we talk about this all the time, but don't you think that's besides abortion and women's reproductive rights, don't you think that should be like one of the main themes of people running for Democrats in 2024 is we're the party of sanity. We're the party that actually gets you say this all the time. We're the only ones that actually get things done after they screw it up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, common sense would say if you can't even keep a speaker in their job and you're constantly tearing each other down and factions inside the Republican Party between the extremist wing and the non-extremist wing is constantly in combat, constantly in turmoil. Do you really want that to apply that to any more government than we have to? And every Democrat running for office, whether it's local, state, federal, whatever it is, needs to point to this kind of dysfunction and say, this is what the state of the Republican Party is right now. Let's leave the partisanship at the door and let's just look at how they function. Let's just use that as this is where they're at in history. And the fact they can't even function like adults. You have a non-functioning political party in this country that doesn't have a single fucking adult in their political party. You got Vivek running around Ramsaway saying crazy fucking things. This guy's running for president of the United States. And you're seeing this extreme dialogue, and you're hearing it from Nikki Haley and Tim Scott and Governor Dick Suckis and all these other wackos. It's not coming from just the House of Representatives. It's from top to bottom. You're seeing craziness and justifying January 6th, making conspiracy theories that Democrats actually did it. And just no accountability, no organization, no functionality. And you don't want chuckle fucks like that running anything. That's the last thing your city, your school district, or anybody. We don't need the MAGA extremist group, Moms for Liberty. We don't need any of their candidates. This unity candidate slate here in Charlotte. We don't need any of those idiots on the school board. Is that if you have a Republican treasurer, you're a Republican. And, and we don't need that. And that's what topic 4 is we're 3 weeks into this speaker issue, a completely manufactured issue, and the keep the government over and pay so we could pay our bills was a 6-week deal. We're now at the halfway point of a 6-week deal, and still no speaker in sight. This new nominee, Emmers or whatever his name is, he's no closer to being the speaker than I am. He's not extreme enough for the wacko side, for the paint chip, crazy conspiracy theory, rapey McForehead run side of the Republican Party. He's not nuts enough. He won't pledge to be nuts. And he won't compromise his principles, what little principles he has, because he is a Republican. But because he's not completely off the charts, cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, the kooks, the MTGs, and all the nut jobs don't want him. They want somebody that's either a doormat like McCarthy or they want an extremist like Jim Jordan. And they want to take the house off the deep end and be self-destructive and do all kinds of crazy things with the budget and do all kinds of crazy things in 2024 because their intention is to take the country off the rails and say, hey, this is Biden's fault. They want to be self-destructive and try to blame things on Biden. And it ain't going to fly. And we're seeing it all unfold in 24-hour TV and internet. We all know what they're all about. We know they're fucking nuts. And we've got to say it. We got to say it. The Republican Party is fucking nuts. They are an extremist group that poses a political party, and this is fucking nuts. They're in the middle of a budget crisis. And they should be having emergency budget hearings on getting this budget passed once and for all, 6 weeks late, when Republicans have failed to produce a budget before. They had 9 months to build a budget. And then they got an extension of 6 weeks, which got the speaker fired, which there was no reason in that type of situation when we're in an emergency situation that paid millions of Americans, tens of millions of Americans, and we have idiots that don't know how to pass a budget. They've now created the speaker crisis, and we're no closer on passing a budget than we were at the end of September. And now we're right close to the end of October as we're taping this. No speaker, no budget. And that's nuts. That's absolutely nuts. And that should be the number one priority, is paying our governmental employees, paying our military, doing all the things that they're out there doing their job. But for some reason, the House Republicans don't want to do theirs. They'd rather sit there and fight like a bunch of teenagers, call each other names, do all kinds of wacky shit. I'm like, y'all can't just figure out of all the 200 and something Republicans, you all can't pick somebody that you can agree on. Like there's 217 of them. You can't find one out of 217 that would be acceptable just to pound the gavel and run the meetings. Like that's all really the speaker does, because they're just kind of like a referee and appoint committees and do all these basic functions of the House. That's what the Speaker of the House is for. But they're still a member of the House. And you can't pull at this point, y'all should just pull a name out of a hat, and whoever comes out, y'all just throw the votes on that person. It's about as scientific as what these idiots are doing right now, having all these closed-door meetings amongst themselves, like a bunch of kids in Spanky's clubhouse, and the little rascals going, well, I don't like him because of this. I don't like that person because of this. But it sounds like a bunch of children.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a preschool. It's almost like they need somebody that's like a teacher figure to come in and go, okay, class, we're going to take a couple naps. I'm going to give you a couple juice boxes. We're going to elect a speaker. And then we're going to pass the budget.
Yeah.
And then you can go back to being stupid for a little while. Yeah. It's literally, I've seen kindergarten classes run more smooth than the House of Representatives under Republicans. I mean, ever since they took over in January and they yanked out the metal detectors and allowed guns to be carried in the building, and just like a bunch of children, oh, we're in charge now, like the Lord of the Flies, but, well, we're in charge of the island now, so we're going to make all these different rules, and we're going to be able to eat junk food and stay up late watching TV, and because you can't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me. And that idiotic mentality that conservatives have, that they just don't want to be told what to do, is literally the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Because life is full of having to go by rules. Especially rules they make up themselves. But
Exactly.
We'll be back with some more Two Queers in a Truck right after this.
Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for watching us on Two Queers in a Truck. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime at your leisure on our video podcast platforms like Facebook and YouTube. But you can also listen to us, either this show or any of our past shows, on our audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and all of the other ones. So once again, thank you for watching Two Chords in a Truck. I hope you enjoy our show. You're exactly right, Jenny. They're the ones that they make the rules, and then when they see other people starting to win, they get
They change them again.
Exactly.
Or, one of the ironies of all these Trump trials is some of the things he's getting prosecuted on is stuff that he wanted to take a hard line on and pass rules and regulations on, like all this document handling and all that. It would have less teeth before Trump. And so Trump wanted to show a hard line because Hillary's emails and all that. I'm a law and order president. That he did way worse than Hillary's emails. And because of the rules he changed during his presidency, those rules are now being used against him. Because he's a fucking idiot. Because Republicans don't believe that the rules apply to them. They
exactly. Their whole governing style is it's for them.
Right.
We have to protect ourselves from them, those people, them. That's their whole governing style. That's the whole. But when I need help, I want help.
Yeah.
But when they need help, no, they're
Well, and they believe government is for empowering them and enriching them. And they're the true patriots, and they've convinced themselves that whatever they do is okay. Socialism's okay if they get to spend it the way they want to. And we have military socialism and school socialism, and the school choice is all about who gets to spend what money and how can they profit off it. Just like private prisons, privatizing, energy and taxes, all these scams, all these Ponzi schemes they come up with, all these wars that they create, always are to benefit them. They're trying to find a way to profit off government, which they'll throw the wild accusation, like the local idiot that was at the thing forum this week and said, they're the first ones, the school choice assholes are the first ones that are trying to give away government money with no oversight to private entities. So it's funny how they want to audit schools. I mean, you want to audit schools because you're trying to find more money to give away to your private school PACs and deals, because that's how you want to get reelected. That's how you want to hold power, is that you want to defund public schools. And they're trying to make a case, every way situation, to make public schools appear dysfunctional. That's what the idiots in the House of Representatives are trying to do. They're trying to make the House of Representatives completely as shitty and as dysfunctional and as problematic as the Republicans make it, because they're up to something. They're always trying to say, well, see, the government functions. Listen, government doesn't function because of y'all. Is that you can't even do the basic necessities of the job. The House of Representatives ran fine under Nancy Pelosi. Never had a shutdown. Never had a problem. People function like adults. They were told what to do, and it worked great. She was a phenomenal speaker.
And that's what, Jenny, we're slowly seeing before our eyes. Within just the last 5 years, we are slowly seeing the Republican Party, formerly used to be known as the party of business, the party of free markets, the party of personal responsibility. We're seeing that flip that now the Democratic Party is considered the party of business, the party of free markets, the party of personal responsibility. It is interesting how it has switched because Republicans have come out to be like anti-business,
Well,
and businesses like stability.
this is the problem, is that the whole big lie about governments being pro markets, pro this, it's never been true. They've never been about responsibility because they want to define what responsibility is. And they've never been responsible. Reagan was a very irresponsible president. He got us thrown into an arms race. He spent like a drunken sailor on shore leave. He ran our debt up to record amounts. Papa Bush did the same thing. Extremism got us into a war. They had budgetary problems. Remember the read my lips, no new taxes. All that crap happened to the Republicans. Nixon, with all the warmongering that he did for years. Dr. Killinger going around creating more proxy wars every way he can. And then all the Watergate scandals and scams. These guys, the Republican Party has never been fit to rule in the last 50 years. And they've lied about who they are. The difference is, and why it's so showcased now, because we have social media. All these Republicans can run to the press. They can tweet about it. And so we're seeing the unfiltered version of the Republican Party where they can't cover up their own stink. They can't put on enough perfume and enough cologne to hide the steaming pile of shit, dysfunctional shit the Republican Party is. And if Reagan had Twitter, we would have seen how senile that guy was and how crazy Reagan was. And he'd be tweeting about Nancy's good blowjobs and all kinds of other stuff. And we would have seen how homophobic, how racist. He would have been worse than Trump. Reagan was bad, crazy. He was big, old, greasy, big.
And then it would have come out the reason he was so homophobic was because he had so much gay sex when he was growing up as an early movie star.
Oh, yeah. They both, back in their younger days, Nancy and Ronnie were buck-ass wild. You can't get that evangelical and born again if you didn't have a wild past. And now you're feeling guilty, so now you got to go find Jesus.
Exactly. Yep.
And I hate to tell you, you didn't ever lose Jesus. And you're feeling guilty for shit you did. Instead of just owning up to it, moving on. Just saying, I sinned. It's okay. Cry me a river, Jimmy Swaggart. Send me some money. And that's always been the Republican Party. They've never been responsible. They've never been the adults in the room. Newt Gingrich, whack job. George W. Bush Jr., whack job, an idiot, incompetent. He wrecked our economy, racked up $8 trillion in extra debt for 2 wars that only benefited Cheney and his buddies. The Republican Party have been disasters as leaders in this country. They've been financial disasters. All of our debt is because of the Republican Party. Every dime of that was from overspending in the drug wars, overspending in the prison system, overspending in the military. I mean, $8 trillion of that $30 trillion that we owe came from just the Iraq and Afghanistan wars, just the last 2. Not even Desert Storm, not even the overspending of the 80s and 90s. Just insane amounts of spending. A well overfunded DOD and intelligence community. We've spent ourselves in oblivion for war. We wonder why the planet's on fire. We wonder why there's so many violent things going on around the world. I'm going, we're the economic superpower, military superpower. We're the ones causing all this. You can't solve violence and war with more of it. Just like our gun problem. Our gun problem, we don't have a gun problem. We have a proliferation of weapons of war into our general civilian population, and you can't have peaceful neighborhoods when you're distributing hundreds of millions of guns. It just doesn't equate. It's just like if you showed up to your supposed friend's house, and every time you showed up, the first thing they greet you with is a punch in the face. Eventually, when you see them next, you're going to punch them first. And violence is going to be met with violence. And as long as it escalates, because the next time it's baseball bats, and the next time it's knives, and the next time it's guns, and before you know it, it escalates. Just like this Israel thing. Is extremism, alt-right extremism, hardliners like in Iran, Israel, Palestine with Hamas, ISIS in Iraq, is that the cycle of poverty and violence doesn't end until you answer both. And as long as they keep Palestine impoverished and afraid for their lives, they're always going to embrace the Hamas. They're not going to see a shelter anywhere else. The Hamas, we're the ones standing between you and the Zionists. And then on the Israeli side, their alt-right prime minister is always going to say, we need a huge military. We need to answer their calls for violence and genocide. And the Israeli people are always going to keep idiots like what they got right now beating the drum of war, because they're going to say, well, Iran's going to attack us if we don't stay strong, and we can't completely trust the United States to always be there, so we got to have a huge military. We got to hit them hard, because the appeals to extremism, we've seen it here in the United States. We saw the rise of Trump in 2016, and he appealed to the stupidest, most extremist people in our country, rednecks and evangelicals, that whip people into a frenzy saying how bad it is here. Well, it wasn't bad. 2016 was a good year, except for the election of Trump. And we've noticed violence has been on the rise. We've seen more anti-Semitism since Trump got elected. We've seen more unrest in this country. Gun violence is an all-time high. All these things are because we put in power extremists. And we call them what they want, but MAGA Republican extremists are the reason we have so many problems in appealing to the most violent solutions that we can have. And you will never have peace in this country until you call for an end of extremism and say it's just unacceptable. And putting idiots in office that are always either propagating a scam like school choice, or always every solution in our society is a violent one. Mass incarceration is violence. Not having proper medical finance programs to pay for our medical issues as a society is a form of poverty, forced poverty. Not having livable wages and laws that support livable wages and the great American worker is a purposeful poverty program. You choose either to invest into your people or you invest into cruelty. And as long as the United States has a policy of investing in cruelty, we'll always have cruelty. And we'll always have extremism, which then creates more poverty. And then the answer to poverty is always violence and crime. And that's just the way it is. I did want to talk about real quick, I went to a really good chamber event last night. I'm a big supporter of our local LGBT Chamber of Commerce that actually covers South Carolina and most of North Carolina. And I love to see people come together. It was fun. It was a kind of a costume business meeting where people wore 1970s clothes. People really dressed for the occasion. It was very fun. It was very blingy. We had great food, and we did it at the Wine Vault, which is a business here in the greater Charlotte area. And they have several stores, but they were very gracious and hosted this. And it was a shout out to the leadership of the LGBT Chamber of the Carolinas. And I love the fact to see a positive event. I love the fact that it was a non-political, non-partisan, just being pro-business, being pro-community, and seeing so many LGBT people and non-LGBT allies come to an event and just be supportive of the city of Charlotte and being very pro-business and being a great networking event, lots of fun, lots of cute costumes and outfits, and just a good time, something positive. And, I don't always like to talk about the negative things in the world, the realities that we face, that sometimes we have to talk about the fun things. And they had a DJ there, and it was super cute, and just a good time.
Did you draw 70s?
I wore my tie-dye deal, which is 70s clothes.
Yeah.
And so I didn't go very blingy though. I normally would have. I just decided not to. There was plenty of people that wore stuff they would have never worn had this not been a theme. Really, people went all out. I was very pleased to see how everybody just kind of participated, made it a lot of fun. It was a neat theme, which Halloween, when we're taping this, we're still in the last week of October, the last part of October, but it was a neat event, and it was just a good time. It was a great way to close out the Chambers October, and it was super chill. It was super just more networking. It was very casual. There wasn't really any big things to do, and people just hung out in little groups, and I got to meet a lot of people I haven't met before. I really got to spend a lot of time getting to know some of the guests and talking to them about their businesses and projects, and made some great contacts, and it was the best time, and I was so glad to see it, and it was a great event, and a super positive event, and look forward to the next events in November and December. And a very successful event, tons of people, tons of connections. You can just see people have a good time. That's what it's all about, having a business networking event, not being boring, not being too dry, having a good time, facilitating business, meeting people, and seeing how we can work together. And that's what the Chamber is all about. And great event. Kudos to Chad and Abby and all the leadership and the board of the LGBT Chamber for another super successful event. And it just shows why the Chamber of Commerce for the LGBT community is so important. And surprisingly how many non-LGBT people are there too, and as always, and just the idea is people are people, and let's all do business together, and let's all help each other be successful, and that's what it's all about. And but that's all I've got, and I think we even ran maybe a little long, and I forgot to set the timer on the fifth topic. Right, a true transparent. But we'll dance our way out, and we'll see you all next week. Bye, boo.
Happy November.
Happy November.
Bye, boo.
Hey, y'all, thanks for watching and sticking with us in 2023. And most of all, happy November and Turkey Month and Black Friday. So we got a whole bunch of things to look forward to, and maybe we'll have a speaker in the house today.
Yeah, you are. Who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Bye, boo.
Bye, boo.
See you next week. All right.
Hey, thanks for watching Two Queers in a Truck, and Christian and I just blathering on about craziness in the world today. Y'all be safe out there. There is a lot of Republicans on the road.
That's right.
Have a good week. Bye.